Go.
What's going on, everybody? Youngzers episode 49, almost eclipsing 50 episodes. So that's a pretty cool milestone we have coming up. A little short episode this week. Not too much going on in sports, so we'll probably BS a little bit. Flap the gums, shoot the shit, if you will. So right off the rip, what do you guys want to get into? How's everybody doing?
Great to be back. Great to be back.
It's good to have you back.
Thanks.
So, yeah, you weren't here last week, Andrew. Got anything you want to touch on since you haven't been here maybe in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I've been busy. Happens. Henry Davis is up, so he's a competitor. But that's really it. The Penguins, we're getting into free agency and buyouts coming up here, and MLB draft in a couple weeks. So it's kind of that dead period since the Pirates are back to their, they're back to their tricks. They're back to their tricks. I saw a stat yesterday, if we just want to get right into the Buccos. Jack Sawinski and Rodolfo Castro, in their last 50 total at-bats combined, how many hits do they have?
4.
Probably 3.
0. Wow.
Not even a bunt single.
Wow.
Jeez. No. 0 for 50 combined.
Is that more shocking to you, or them starting 20-8, and since then they are 15-33?
That's not surprising.
But here's, and I keep going back to it, and I might be beating a dead horse, but you're 20-8. You play 500 ball from then. What are you? You're 20-8. That's 45 games. Let's call it. You're 40. Help me out here.
I'm terrible at math.
Here, I'll get it real quick. So if you're
how many games? 162.
Oh, hold up. So 33 plus 15 is 48 games. So they'd be 44 and 24 plus 8. They'd be 44 and 32 if they played 500 baseball from that point. They played so far below 500 baseball. They're playing quarter baseball. No,
they're playing like 0.100 baseball, maybe.
Well, 15 and 33 in that stretch, in a 45 game stretch, or is it 45?
It's all right, Dan. You know why? That's some breaking Bucco news.
And Priester?
They have hired pitcher Andre Jackson from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Do not know who. I'm not familiar with him. He was DFA'd by the Dodgers on Tuesday. So, picking through the trash. The Pirates are like the raccoon of the MLB. They dumpster dive quite a bit. But, Dan, you're the stat guy. So,
yeah.
What do we got here? What do we got here?
Andre Jackson from LA. He has not one start, but he's 0-0 in this season in 2023. He's got a 6.62 ERA in 7 games. Has 2 saves. So he's got a 6.62 ERA in 17.2 innings pitched.
Is he a lefty?
No, righty, right-handed. 6'3", 210 pounds, 27 years old. Throws right. So that's
the bullpen's in shambles. So is he a starter or a reliever?
It's looking like he's a reliever here. So his last 7 games, like I said, 7 games with 17 in 0.2 innings pitched. He's given up 22 hits, 13 earned runs.
So he'll fit nicely.
3 walks and only 16 strikeouts in 17 innings. That's not good.
The classic MO of the Pirates: throw as much shit as he can at the wall because eventually something will stick. So looks like it's got to be a nice dingleberry they're going to throw at the wall. So he's probably going to roll off here pretty soon.
Okay, so here we go. So 2021 and 2022, he also pitched in those seasons as well. But where's innings pitched? In 2022, he pitched 9 innings. In 2021, he pitched 11 innings. So I don't know if he's like an up and down kind of guy, kind of like one of them fringe guys that they were calling up, like a project guy.
Listen, you said fringe guy, and that's the classic quad A player. That is right in the Pirates' wheelhouse. Yeah. They're looking to see who's getting DFA'd each week.
Yeah.
They see this over 6 ERA, and they're like, we need this guy. So that's the gist of that.
Let's do some math real quick.
they're like your one buddy in your fantasy football league that's just a complete moron, and he just makes dumb moves on the waiver wire. So anyone that like we drop, say like Jeff Wilson or something, like he's the first one to pick up like Jeff Wilson or some like shit third string backup from like who knows the Falcons or something. But
So,
I don't know.
I like to break down like acquisitions like this. Like look at innings pitched and then you see number of pitches. He has 305 pitches in 17 innings pitched. That's 18 pitches per inning. That boy's out there for a long time.
Especially if he's a reliever only pitching like 1 or 2 innings at most.
Yeah.
That's some ugly. That's gonna be some ugly baseball.
It's-
So that's the reinforcements the Buccos got going.
That's great. Yeah, the reinforcements they need is at manager right now. That I'm sorry, Derek Shelton has fumbled this Miami series, especially with Mitch Keller out there. How do you not have David Bednar at least warming and coming in if what's his name got in trouble there? Starts with an M, doesn't it? Moretta, yeah.
Moretta,
so he ends up loading the bases and then they end up winning. Miami comes back and you score 4. Your offense was so stagnant up until then, and you get a home run from Henry Davis, you get a home run from Brian Hayes. It's looking okay. You're getting them timely hits at that point, up to that point, but I don't care. Look at the numbers, and I'm tired of it. Bednar's your best bullpen guy. If you can't turn it over to him for 5 outs because, he's a 9th inning guy. No, closers are not just 9th inning guys. If he's got to get out there, get the hold and the save, then that's what he's got to do.
You got to do what you got to do.
Especially, that's what they're going to have to do the rest of the season, too.
You're on a 9-game slide at that point. It was the first game of the Miami series. You're on a 9-game slide. Do what you have to win. You could just tell that they don't want to win. And I think internally, when you have your GM saying that you're exceeding expectations, and then you're planting these seeds of doubt in these guys, even it goes the whole way down to your skipper. And if your skipper's not managing the game right, then you're a recipe for disaster.
Listen, when Dan's calling out the skipper, that's how you know it's bad. You don't hear Dan call out the skipper too often, but when he does, you deserve it, basically.
Yeah, it's I rest my case.
I feel like Dan's like a respecter of skippers, so when you hear him throw a skipper out, like your ears perk up. You gotta like tune in because he's about to drop something on him. And
who fumbled worse, Shelton, the way he manages the bullpen and the lineups, or Rashard Mendenhall in the Super Bowl against the Green Bay Packers?
So somebody called in and I was listening. It's not all on Rashard Mendenhall if you think about it, because Ben missed Mike Wallace for a walk-in touchdown earlier in that game. So I'm going to say Derek Shelton fumbled, or his fumble's worse than Rashard Mendenhall's. I'm not going to put it all on Rashard because Ben had a terrible game in that Super Bowl against Green Bay. So let's not, Big Ben, you're not off the hook either. You're not a saint in my book.
But didn't Rashard Mendenhall have some questionable tweets too?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Was it Bin Laden? Like he was like, dang, he should have played in the NBA because he's like, he was pretty tall.
Yes.
Yeah. He's kind of out there. That's why I'm not giving him the pass on this one. I mean, you've watched The Office. That's where like Ryan's giving the toast at the garden party. He's like, here's to the troops, both sides. Yes. That's kind of Rashard Mendenhall in real life. He's just, he's out there scouting for talent no matter, what group they're with, where they're at. He sees a 6'7" guy. He wants to throw him out on the court. So, I don't give Mendenhall the pass. He's a little too big for his britches on Twitter.
That's fair. I just think that Derek Shelton, and they gave him that extension after you had 28, and I agreed with it. Was it a little early? Possibly, because now look what they're at. And I want to ask you guys, at the beginning of the year, we thought next year they'd be competitive, and then we kind of jumped the gun when they were competitive early for the first month of the season.
Yeah,
I look at this team on paper and see what they potentially have coming back and who's leaving, because we've been through this song and dance before. I don't even think they're competitive next year. I think this sets them back another year or two. And it's frustrating when you see how the Reds call up their guys because they think they're ready. So the 2-part question, do you think that they are pushed back to be competitive? And also, the people we have evaluating this talent thinking they're not big league ready, we got to question them guys.
So I'm going to keep this with an analogy, Dan. All right. And it's fitting for the week. You know, the Titanic's been in the news. Hey.
I'm an ocean respecter, first off. I want to say that.
Listen, I took oceanography in college.
I'm steering my sub.
I could have told you that. Yeah, I could have told you that going into a Pringles can with a knockoff PlayStation controller. And this is just, you know, like Ryan said, he's a respecter of the sea. You know, I'm a researcher of the sea, oceanography. You know, I track some sharks in my downtime. You see that, you know. But, you know, putting a Pringles can with a knockoff PlayStation controller was not going to end well for anybody. But, you know, the Pirate season's kind of like the Titanic. You're going towards the ice. Everyone thinks the season's just going to be down right off the bat. You clip the iceberg. You think you got past the worst of it. Bad news, buddy. The ship it's filling up with water. We're at the point right now where it's cracked in half.
Right.
The season's going down, but the lifeboats are still out there. AK, we got some players that, you know, they're calling up. They called up Jared Jones to AAA, Quinn Priester's in AAA. You know, Cruz being out's obviously a huge blow. We talked about that a lot. But you see some of those guys coming up. Anthony Solometto's doing very well in Altoona, another pitching prospect. So the pitchers, I think they'll be ready for next year. You know, obviously they want to play the Super 2 cards, whatever, but you'll have Henry Davis, you'll have Endy Rodriguez. You still have
Priester, potentially.
Yeah, you have Priester, but like position players, Jared Triolo's still down there.
Jones is looking good.
Jared Jones?
Yeah.
So you got the guys next year where to hell with waiting for the Super 2. Those are the guys that need to be in the lineup next year. That's, you know, it's just as simple as that. They have it, you know, you sign one outfielder. Hell, draft Dylan Cruz and just bring him up to Pittsburgh right off the bat. He'd automatically be your best, you know, best prospect, probably one of their best outfield options to begin with. So they'll have the options next year where these guys, they're already bringing them up into AAA. They got some more infielders. Peguero's still down there hitting okay. They'll have the talent there next year, I think, where it'll be the make or break year in the next 2 years. Really got.
So I'd say, in my opinion, I don't know if it sets them back yet. I think it's still too early to tell. It's a young team. They're going to grow a lot in the coming years. I'm not sure how it's going to shake out. I think Santana's definitely gone as who we're going to say who we're going to lose. Connor Joe, I don't know what he's at. He might just be a utility guy, maybe out. I could see Kutch DH in next year again. No, Kutch will stay. This won't be his last year. I think he's got 2 in him this year and next year.
I hope. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm thinking what the first and catcher situation will be. I think would Rodriguez be the catcher next year, and then Henry Davis at first, or who'd be at first?
Or right, yeah.
Or I don't know. So they got to figure that situation out. But I think the biggest benefit is the weakness of the division, like how weak they are, and I think that will carry a little bit to next year. I hope. The Cardinals, I don't know if they're going to figure it out anytime soon. The Brewers don't look like they have anything good going for them. The Reds, they might be a little bit of a threat. They got nice, young, decent group. The Cubs are just, mediocre. They're just there. I don't think they have any young guys. I'm not sure about their farm system or anything like that. But if I was going to compare the Pirates to anybody right now, it would be the Orioles last year. The Orioles last year were a lot like the Pirates this year. They were, they weren't competitive. They weren't bad, but they weren't good. And then this year they turned it around, and they're a pretty good team now. So I'd say at best they could be like the Orioles next year, like this year, if that makes sense. I don't know. But I think the biggest benefit is they're playing in a bad division for the next, like this year, next year, and maybe a couple. So they could have a chance at a wild card or like a division title if they, they play better. But I don't know. There's just not much you can measure on it because, like Andrew said, O'Neal Cruz has been out. And, guys are having to play every day that wouldn't necessarily be everyday players like Castro, Marcano, Ji-Wan Bae, those guys that would just, you'd get like a solid performance out of one of them every week. So it really magnifies those guys that, can't put out a good outing 5 days a week or 3 or 4 days a week. That you can rely on them to come out and like prove themselves once a week and say like, hey, I want to be in the lineup, prove that you can play. Like, it's just the depth. I think the depth is the biggest issue right now. And then you got guys like Josh Palacios out there. which he hasn't been horrible, but he has his moments. But it's just guys like that they're putting out there every day that it's just magnifying that there isn't much depth.
Hunter Joe can't even bunt. G1 Bay should be back in the minors because he is, he's a gimmick player. He's a gimmick player.
I think we wrung out what we can get out of them in the short time that they've had to play a ton. Say they didn't have to play as often as they have, with everyone getting shuffled around, say from short and second, like the middle infield. I think in those 2 months we went on that hot streak, we kind of had that second hot streak, like 7 or 8 game stretch, I think maybe last month. We wrung out everything we could out of that. So now teams kind of figured out the Pirates, and the Pirates have been figured out. The smoke show's been blown away. The smoke and mirrors are gone. You're just in a fun room. It's a carnival ride, and the rest of the year it's going to be the damn what do you call it? Like the bearded lady and all that. That's what you're going to be looking at. The freak show. That's what we're looking at now.
They are who we thought they were, and to your point, I think with the beginning of the year and why they went on a hot streak and why G1 Bay was so useful is because of the whole pitch clock thing. Yeah, every team was trying to get used to it and try to almost see what they could get out of it. And I think the Buccos did that very well there early, but then teams figured out how to shut that down, taking extra bags and stuff like that. I think that threw a wrench in the whole MLB. I think the whole league was going through a learning curve with that, and the Buccos just took advantage of that, but now they can't because the rest of the league has caught up to that. And,
the Pirates are the first ones to figure it out.
And to your point with the weak division, the way I see this possibly going about is we're going to be, if you think we're going to be competitive the next year, the year after that, and the Reds are kind of lined up to that too, it's going to be disappointing because such a weak division this year. Yada yada. I'm done talking about it, but it almost feels like back in like 14, 15 when we were good, and the Cubs had that resurgence and just came out, and I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but kind of out of nowhere, and just we couldn't beat them. And then the Cardinals were still there as well. We ran into some buzzsaws in both of those teams when we tried to get to the postseason. That's what I don't want ultimately. But as long as we got good competitive baseball up to, the race for October, I guess I can deal with that.
I love Dan must have Call of Duty on the mind. I heard resurgence and it's like a dog whistle going off. I know you've been playing it.
Just
I know you have been.
Not much.
All I'm going to say is we got a lot more out of the Pirates than we thought we would, Yeah. Like up to this point, we thought like the way we're talking about them now is probably how we thought it would be in, say, early June, late April.
Yeah.
Late May, early June.
Yeah.
They took us to damn near July before we're like, I'm kind of giving up on them now, Like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to enjoy baseball. But, I think the window that we had to potentially be a wild card team, it's like, it's not a window anymore. It's like one of those Lego windows that you get. They have the little plastic opening. Like, they got to get their shit together to a maximum level like this week if they want to even. Because how many games back are they? They got to be like 5 or 6 games back. That's not like that. That's not that big of a hill to climb if you think about it.
For the Pirates, that may as well be Kilimanjaro.
But if they can keep that 5 or 6 games, until August, when they get that full lineup back, they could potentially, make some noise. And if they have a good August, September.
All right. We're in 4th place. And we are currently 5.5 back.
That isn't as big as that's not as big as you think.
It's as big as you think. Let's keep it real.
Say they keep that 5 games until August when Cruz comes back. Do you think they have a chance to make a push in August, September if they can keep those 5 games?
I'm gonna channel my inner Roberts. No.
We've seen the 20-game stretch before. I think we could see it again. Like, 15 games. That's all they need.
Chalk them. They're chalked. The team's chalked.
There's a lot of divisional play left too, so there's gonna be a lot more shuffling around. Right now, we only got about 1 week, and that really hurt. Losing every game for the Cubs and Brewers. No, they did lose every game to the Cubs and Brewers. They didn't win a single game against them. So, Yeah, they saw him once. I mean, if you're an optimist, if you're a Pirates optimist, you'd be like, hey, they only had to see him once. They'll be ready the next time. I guess you could say that. But I don't know. It's going to be just baseball at this point. It's just baseball. Just take the moments you can. If you don't want to watch them lose, just, I guess, watch the second playing on AT&T Sports and just watch until they lose the lead. So you only got to watch 2 or 3 innings and turn it off. That's what I did the other day. I forget who they played. They had like a 2-run lead. And I watched the game at first, and then I was like, oh, I'm just going to watch it and turn it off in the second inning when it comes on again. I did. I was like, yeah, the Pirates won to me. So that was a win in my book. But, yeah, I don't know what to do at this point. Pirates they don't make me mad anymore. I said this last week. They're just existing until Stiller time.
Listen, the Pirates, and I tweeted it this week. You come to the realization they're a pathetic franchise, and the only reason they're a pathetic franchise is because the hillbilly prince owns them, and they will be the same thing until he is no longer the owner of the Pirates. So Ben Cherington, I think, is overrated. They call these prospects.
He won a World Series, though. He won a World Series. I'm tired of hearing it.
No, don't you're trolling me right now.
Ben Cherington?
Yeah. Look what his team's finished.
Ben Cherington. Yeah, they were making this big thing that he won a World Series.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every
with
once
Boston.
in a while.
He won a World Series with Boston. Yes. He won a World Series. Go ahead. I'm sorry for cutting you off. But 2013.
His teams finished last in the division. They won 1 World Series.
I agree. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, won a Super Bowl? Trent Dilfer.
Here's the other thing. We're 5 years into Ben Cherington's tenure here. What the hell? It's ridiculous. It's like we gotta wait, and then you get a new regime in there, and then you gotta wait again. To hell with it. I'm tired of waiting. If they're not going to put a competitive team on that field, they're going to put a team on that field that the Quad A WPIAL championship team could beat. Like, I don't care. It's not a professional team. It's not a professional atmosphere. If you're going to come out and blatantly say that you're ahead of expectation, then what kind of expectation did you have? You're going to be a 100-loss team, and you're okay with it because you're still lining your pockets. I'm tired of it.
They're selling the City Connect jerseys for $500.
Yeah, what do you think about those? I was going to bring that up.
A closet full of them already.
Huh?
Rio probably has a closet full of them already.
They've grown on me.
They're not grown on me.
I like them.
If I was in first grade and I'm using Microsoft Paint, you could come up with the same uniforms, PGH and yellow.
I like
the hat. Decent, the colors are good, but you need something more on the front there.
There is, but it's too small, and I like the little hidden details as they are. Like the one, the symbol is the 3 rivers. The one symbol is for the symbol of steel, and then the other one is at the front of the Clemente Bridge. I get that, but it's so small. Unless I'm right up on top, I can't see it. Like, why? Make it bigger. Make that. Make 3 or 4 of them, all over. Make them big diamonds. Why do they got to be so small and minute? I don't know. And then they wanted it to say Steel City on it, but the Steel City brand said no to that because ESPN wanted to trademark it. They can't do 412 because of the 412 shop. So what else can you do?
Yeah, everything's trademarked these days.
Just put Nutting's face on it with dollar signs in his eyes. People would still buy it.
Spend Nutting, you win Nutting. You get thrown out. You get thrown out for that. Freedom of speech, but not at PNC Park when that tyrant's over there running it and owns it.
We've had Dan throw out skipper and tyrant today. Dan's got the dictionary out today. He's bringing his A game. These afternoon pods, you see some rare stuff right there. Dan's 2 away from hitting from the cycle right now.
Give me time. Give me another 10 minutes.
We just need a bait and switch or a dead man switch from it, and we'll get the trifecta.
It's just, I'm tired of it. Then to be I can't sit here and act like a fake fan. I want them to succeed. I would like to see them succeed, but when it boils down to when your owner doesn't want to spend anything, our GMs won a World Series. I don't give a rat's ass. Whenever your team is finishing last every season, the product you put on the field is minor league at best, double A. It's just
quad A team. That's what they are.
You can't
They're feeders to the actual contenders.
And like you expect people to show up, and it was good to see they packed they didn't pack it, but 20,000 showed up for Henry Davis to get called up. That shows like if you would do the right things and call the right people up, and there would be a buzz around the team. But it just shows that you don't care about this team, you don't care about the city. The city's not going to care about your team, and the fans don't care, and they're not going to show up.
That's the thing. Like, I understand every team has ups and downs, but like, why are we like 90% downs and 10% ups in my lifetime? Like that 2 or 3 years where we had ups. I'm just sick of watching every other team have fun. I'm sick of like being a joke. I'm sick of people laughing. I'm sick of Reds fans like thinking they're like hot shit every other week and like getting like the first thing you click on when you see like the Pirates lose is just other teams in the mentions clowning. Like I want to go on Twitter and do that to other people. I want to be the one clowning them. I'm just sick of being a joke to like every other team in the MLB, you know?
Being a meme.
Like, give me 5 years of fun. Give me like 5 years of competitive baseball, and you can give me 3 more years of trash, but then give me 5 more years of good times. Like, I know there's up and downs. I'll trade 5 years that we could be World Series, contenders, and then, I understand it's going to be down for a little bit, but don't give me these 3-4 years of waiting where you could say we're going to get hope, and then they just blow it up in 3 years and start over again. Say, hey, we're waiting again. We're going to send out basically guys that are DFA'd from every other team for 4 years. You have to watch absolute scrap for 4 years. And then they bring up guys and they trade guys and they say, hey, we got this from here. He'll be up here in 2 weeks. Then, we can't call him up till July though. So we're going to have to wait 3 months for that. But I don't know. It's just the same cycle. And I feel like I'm never going to believe it until I see it. I try to be like optimistic about it, like I said, but every time this cycle happens, it gets more difficult. Like the last one ended with like Josh Bell, Starling Marte, and all those guys. So the next one's like, this is our new cycle. We got Reynolds, Brian Hayes, and O'Neal Cruz. It's always comes in threes.
Yeah, you got to build around a core, and there's ebbs and flows in the season. There's ebbs and flows of building a franchise, and I understand at a small market it's tough to do. But there's ways to do it. Look at Kansas City. They built a championship team. Look, if you want to say teams are buying franchises, like look at the New York Yankees, right? They tried to buy championships through the 80s up into the 90s, and then they stopped doing that and they drafted well. That's when they got the Jeters, who was the catcher, and then Pettit. I can't remember the catcher's name, but Posada. If you draft well, it just shows that, I'm sorry, but these big high-end prospects that you're getting in the first round, you're getting the top 10 picks. You're not picking them right. I'm sorry. Your evaluations on these guys is bad. There's a way to build a team, and they're not building it right.
And here's what I'm gonna say about the upcoming draft. I would rather have you draft Dylan Cruz and just him be like a mediocre bust than not take him at all and like watch him go to like Anaheim or something like that and have like an absolute amazing career. Or I'd rather have him draft him and have him like 3-4 years until he goes somewhere else. At least give the Pirates a chance to have someone good like that. It doesn't happen too often.
Oh, yes. 1-0 Marlins. I'm just looking. Jonathan Davis.
I'm on there now.
He's 1 on the year, so a good one to, give up in the third.
83 mile per hour right down the pipe for him. So
looks like DJ pitching on the show.
Looks like Andrew pitching in the Kalmar Motors commercial.
That is true.
Well, a development here. My sister's stranded on the side of the road because she's got a flat tire. My old man cannot change it, so we got to wrap this up. I apologize.
It's going to be a short one anyway. We're all mad about the Pirates.
We're half hour in.
We just want to do Three-man agreement on the Pirates being the Jags of the week.
Yeah. They're the Jags of the week. This is a pod for the people. Dan, go get that tire fixed.
Yeah, I got to go get that fixed. I apologize.
Tire fixer. All right, episode 49, 50 next week. We'll make up for the half hour that we usually don't get.